new to this webinar, my name is Dr. Matt James, and I'm the owner of the Empowerment Partnership. We're NLP.com. We've been in the business for now 34 years. This is 2016. We've been around for 34 years. Been a part of the company for 24, teaching since the 90s, and just love to share this type of information. It's January. It's a new year. And so, a lot of questions that I've gotten through Facebook, through our social media, through emails and whatnot, and even at our live trainings is, how do I get better at goal setting? How do I get better at putting a goal out there and amplifying it with some energy? How do I do that? For those of you that I've never met, I'm a doctor of integrative psychology and had my first experience of neuro-linguistic programming, a cognitive behavioral science that helps people improve their communication skills with themselves and with others. Got my first experience of that when I was 11 and began working for my dad's company, and then ended up owning it about 14 years ago. And so it started as a family business and just wanting to be a part of what we're doing. It's all of a sudden grown and evolved into something that I truly treasure and love to do. Last week, I was in Austin, Texas, had an amazing group. We had about 60 people there and taught them our first NLP practitioner training. Delved into a deep level of content and helped people let go of negative emotions, limiting beliefs, conflicts, things that get in your way of your goals. And as I was teaching that, I would still get a ton of questions. How can I add more energy to the goal? How can I amplify my goal? How can I make sure I stay on target? Because, we're, 3-4 weeks now into the new year. And I bet you a lot of you have already, if you had a New Year's resolution, statistically, it's right about now where you get into the 80-90% range of people having completely derailed from their New Year's resolution. And then they take it and they go, better luck next year. Well, in my humble opinion, you don't need a specific date to set a goal. You don't need a specific time to set a goal. You should be setting goals anytime that it feels like it's appropriate. So why not make January 26th your reboot of your New Year's resolution? And we're going to do that here tonight. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to start off with just a couple of little housekeeping stuff. I don't want to go too far into where I've come from and my whole journey with this. You guys can find all that online. I've got a YouTube channel that has a ton of videos on that. I want to jump into some valuable content. And if you'd like to remain connected, if as we go through this, it's something that you feel has helped to empower you as an individual, please make sure that you check us out on Facebook. That's our main, social networking approach. Facebook at the Empowerment Partnership. Actually, if you just type in Dr. Matt, then our pages will come up. The Empowerment Partnership is our company page. We do quotes. We do where we're going to be next for our live trainings and webinars like this. You can get information about webinars like this on that page. My personal page, Dr. Matt James, that you can follow me there. See all the things that I'm doing. That one is just me. So when I'm teaching, focus in on my students, and I won't be posting very much, just a little bit here and there. Also, if you go to our different websites, drmatt.com, NLP.com is our main company website, and drmatt.com is my blog. If you go to drmatt.com and sign up for the newsletter, anytime a new blog or I'm a regular blogger for Psychology Today and Huffington Post. So on drmatt.com, anytime a new blog comes up, you'll get information about that there. So there's two different databases. If you're already on our NLP.com database, also check out drmatt.com. A lot of really good resources there, articles that I've written over the past decade or so. My new book that will be coming out, we'll probably post a chapter to my new book up there as well and offer that up. So make sure you're hooked up at drmatt.com as well. So let's jump into it. That's enough time. Spent about 5 minutes going through housekeeping. So let's get right into this. So what we're covering tonight, what we're going to be focusing in on tonight, let's get that slide going there. Big picture. What we're focusing in on tonight is energy. How do you understand, a basic understanding in an hour webinar, what energy is, where it fits into goal setting. So where do you take energy and bring it into goal setting? How do you begin to formulate a very clear goal? But not just formulate a goal like writing out what it is that you want to achieve in your life, having some desired outcome, having some energy behind it, and having some skin in the game, having some investment in it. How do you do that? That's finding your why. That's finding, why do you want this? Why is your motivation? Why is your passion? And so I like to spend a little bit of time talking about, how do you find your why? How do you find that passion and desire so that you don't fizzle out 3 weeks in, that you keep some momentum going? That's an important thing. And then finally, as we get done, I have a gift for you guys. We have a brand new gift, actually. Those of you who are already my students got something new for you. A download, something that you're going to be able to utilize right away and incorporate into your goal setting. So we've got a neat little handout for you. And in addition to that, I'll talk about our upcoming trainings. Lastly, if there's time, I love questions. So I have some support on here. I have a couple people that are helping out. I got Maria. Maria's helping out with tech support. I also got Jay, guy who handles a lot of my marketing and whatnot, my marketing gurus on here as well. So they're going to be fielding questions and helping out. And then towards the end, any questions you guys have, I'm going to spend some time taking those questions. So here's the deal. As we're going through this webinar, go ahead and type in your questions. Anytime you want, go ahead and just type in your questions, because I'll get to them towards the end. And I'm going to do my best to go through them in order that they were received. So let's jump right into it. First thing that I want to talk about is, I want to talk about energy. I started teaching in the 90s. I started teaching in the late 90s, and back in the late 90s, people would look at energy as being, being out there, being woo-woo. That's not tangible. It's not real. We're beginning to understand the mind-body connection. So where have we come from, and where are we kind of heading right now with all of the research that's out there? So where all the research points to right now is that energy and environment affect your cells and your genetic experience first and foremost. If you want to read anything about this, the latest book by Deepak Chopra, Super Genes, that's an amazing place to begin. An older book, a person by the name of Dr. Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief. So once again, Deepak Chopra, Super Genes, and Dr. Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief. 2 really good resources to understand that this isn't new information we're talking about here. The idea that energy and environment affect your cells, affect your physiological experience, first and foremost, that research was concluded in the 80s. Dr. Bruce Lipton, in the book Biology of Belief, actually states in there, if you have a background in research, if you've read all of this information, this is old news. But in pop culture, we continue to perpetuate this idea that we're somehow fixed, that we can't alter our experience, that the baggage that we have is real, and that all the things that we go through in life are somehow fixed like a rock or a mountain, and that we're never going to be able to change. And unfortunately, that's just a flat-out lie. The research has been done for decades now that says genes and your genetic expression can shift in a second. I was in a recent lecture by Deepak Chopra, and someone raised their hand and said, "What do you think about all the pharmaceutical companies and all the horrific things they're doing?" He said a very interesting thing from stage. He said, "Why would you think pharmaceutical companies are bad or good?" In actuality, they're looking at the next generation of how they can help people. And they're beginning to realize that the medical model of medication doesn't work. Deepak Chopra, Dr. Chopra, said that he's working specifically with a couple of the large pharmaceutical companies because they're looking at probiotics and how do they begin to promote health. Because the research is also conclusive that if you're on medication for more than 2 months with certain medications, 2 years with other ones, you begin to build up a tolerance to the point where the medication no longer works. So Deepak Chopra openly admitted that the medical companies, the drug companies, they're interested in their bottom line. And so if they see the research is pointing to medication is not the path in the future for making money, they're going to go where the money is. Which to me, that's a pretty good thing, because they're looking also at the current research on energy fields. There's conclusive evidence now on energy fields around us that hold our body together. The atoms in our body, that's energy. All we are is a bunch of energy put together. And so, not to go too far down the energy path, what does energy have to do with goal setting? Why would we even want to talk about that? So taking this basic idea of energy, that we have energy inside of us, whether that's your atoms, or you want to talk about the quantum energy within you, or if it's just that desire that you have to go do something, the basic concept of the importance of energy in goal setting is that energy trickles down and affects your body and your experience first and foremost. So when you look at it from an energetic perspective, the energy that you have, let's just go even simpler than everything that I've said about genetics and quantum fields. Let's just go really easy. How many of you guys have ever had a spark, an idea, where you're sitting there and you're like, I got this great idea. That first spark and intensity, you can feel your hair stand up and you can feel this like buildup of heat inside of you. Let's just call that energy for a moment. Let's just call that, and some people go, I get excited. Okay, great. The energy builds up an emotion called excitement. If you back up for a moment, when you get that spark, that idea, that's what I'm talking about as energy. Let's keep it real simple. That spark and idea has to filter all the way down into your physical expression. The first thing that it goes through is the mental aspect of who you are, your mindset. This is where goal setting is so important. I meet so many people every year. I get to teach over 1,000 people every year in our trainings. The next event we have coming up in San Jose, we'll probably have about 100 people there. San Diego, about 150 people there. And I meet people that are so inspired in life to go down this path of personal growth, of achieving something. And yet, they take that energy. Sorry about that. My daughter has so much energy right now, she wants to give me a call. I'm over here in San Diego and I haven't got to see her for a week, so I'll just hit mute on my computer. I should have her jump on the webinar and begin to teach with us. Anyway, that's my girl. So here's the deal. This energy that we have that's built up inside of us, this spark, as it begins to move down through the different aspects of who we are, it filters through the mental aspect. It filters through our mindset. And here's where energy needs to have some direction. Let me be really clear. Energy needs to have a direction. It needs to be pointed in a certain place. So one of the really important things as energy flows through the mental aspect of who you are, this is where you naturally begin to build up your goals, your aim, your focus. A lot of what I want to talk about tonight is how do you take the energy from that inspiration that you have, and as it filters down through your thought process, how do you refine that energy into a very clear and concise goal? Where successful people achieve results is that they take the inspiration that they have and they put it into something that becomes very tangible, very real. And that all begins with a goal. It begins with a very clear and concise goal. Unsuccessful people, they get this spark and idea and they go, I want to do something with this spark, but they don't know how to take the energy and filter it through the mental aspect. Neuro-linguistic programming. It's the study of how successful people get results. This is what we teach at NLP.com. We teach neuro-linguistic programming. It's a study of communication inside with other individuals. It goes beyond that, and the scope of what I'm talking about tonight is how do you have effective communication when it comes to your goals? So once again, where successful people begin to build up momentum with their inspiration in the mental is with how they focus. It's like they get inspired, they want to achieve something, and that target needs to be very clear. It needs to be very concise. You need to have an absolute clear approach to how am I going to get from where I am right now to where I want to be. I was on the phone today with a lady who, an amazing individual, over the past decade has done $40 million worth of grant writing. She's huge in corporate America, wants to make a difference, planetary, with how we do things, mindfulness communication, conscious communication. When I'm listening to her, when I'm listening to what she wants to do with the resources that she has, it's clear. It's a clear plan. She says, here's where we are right now. Here's the next step where we need to get to, and here's where we want to be. And I was talking with her about how everything that we do at NLP.com, at the Empowerment Partnership, how can that fit into what she's doing? And she was so clear and concise with her vision, how she wants to make a difference on this planet. And you know that she's going to get results, because as that energy builds up, it begins to get directed. So first of all, your focus. Let's talk about focus, because focus is big picture. The reason why focus is so important is that energy flows where attention goes. I got a slide for this. Energy flows where attention goes. So you have a, first of all, great deal of importance on your focus. What are you focusing in on? Are you focusing in on the positive? Are you focusing in on your target? Or are you focusing in on what you're trying to get away from? A very important aspect to goal writing, goal setting, putting your intention out there, is that you focus in on what it is that you want to create, not what it is that you want to get away from. And look, my heart goes out to you. I've been there. I've been there in every area of my life where you have a pain. You have something that you're going through that you want to absolutely get away from. I went from being a varsity athlete weighing about 135 pounds, being very athletic, to bulking up to about 235 pounds. And by bulking up, I don't mean muscle. I mean fat. And I can tell you, when I was at my heaviest, I so wanted to achieve an amazing health and fitness, and yet my whole intention was about getting away from this pain that I was feeling on the physical level. It was about 15, 16 years ago now. You have to find a way to flip that switch. I'll talk about that in a moment, because your focus needs to be 100% towards what you want to achieve. Stanford University did a research. If you want to Google this, it's an amazing study. And it's the study of the detriments of multitasking. So Stanford University, we're so big on multitasking right now. My daughter was calling me in the middle of this webinar, and you know what? I'm totally okay with that. I love my kids, and I told her, I said, when you get home from school, give me a call. I was kind of expecting her home from school in another hour, but I forgot she didn't have after-school activities today. What would it be like if, while I'm here with you, I picked up my cell phone and started text messaging her, or turned on FaceTime and started having a conversation with her? That's called splitting your intention. That's called splitting your focus. So many people believe that multitasking is somehow good. Hey, I used to also, man. I am just as guilty as you guys of thinking it's awesome to be able to multitask. Here I am, I'm in a business meeting, I'm talking with someone, FaceTime, your text message goes off, pick up your phone, do a quick text message, focus back in on what you're doing. Stanford University looked at achievement. They looked at specific results. What are the type of results that a person gets when they multitask versus someone who focuses in on one thing, does that one thing, and then moves on to the next one? And what they found is, if you try to do 3, 4 things, hey, even 2 things at the same time, that it takes you longer to achieve the result as if you took those 2 things and put them in a very linear fashion. Let's be really simple with this. If you do one thing first and complete it, and then do the next thing and complete it, not only do you achieve it in a shorter amount of time, you usually get more done and have a higher level of results. In other words, you do better than if you take those 2 things and try to do both of them at the exact same time. There's a guy named Tim Ferriss, and he wrote a book called The 4-Hour Work Week. I don't have the ability to do a 4-hour work week. I really don't. I mean, I was in Austin. The days are 9 to 8 for training days for me. Those are 11-hour days. I have coaching clients. There's no way when I'm teaching that I'm going to have a 4-hour work week. Not a chance. When I'm not teaching, I own a business. I own a company. I'm not going to have a 4-hour work week. Any parents on this webinar, you don't get a 4-hour work week. If you want to include what you do with your kids is a lot of the work that you have to do. So I read the book and I went, I'm not going to get a 4-hour work week in this lifetime, I don't think. And one of the big takeaways that I had was he touched on this. He touched on the idea of batching things together. That many people believe that if they answer every single email that comes in as it comes in, they're somehow doing a really good job. He said in actuality, if you spend 1 hour a day or 2 hours every other day and batch all of this work together and focus in on it, that you get better results and you stay in, listen carefully, you stay in the energy of the moment while you're doing it. So when it comes to energy and giving it a direction, you absolutely want to begin to batch things together. I mean, let's just look at top athletes. You don't see people like, who beat the Patriots this weekend? Hey, if you're from New England, my mom's from Boston, my heart goes out to you. Peyton Manning won. I didn't see, and granted I didn't see it because I was teaching a class, so I didn't get to watch any football, but that's all right. You didn't see, I think, Peyton Manning out on the field while he was about to throw the football, pull out his Apple Watch and start text messaging someone on it, or pull out his Android phone and send a tweet. Hey, I'm about to throw the football down the field. They focus in on what they're doing. The most successful individuals on the planet focus in on what they're doing to get the best result. So you want to do this in all areas. Going out on a date, you're with your loved one, you're about to focus in and you're wondering, why am I not getting 100% out of this relationship? Well, maybe it's because you're spending more time on Facebook than on the date. A study came out a while back that parents who talk to their kids during dinner rather than having a television on, listen, this is really crazy that they had to study this, but I find it amusing. They had to study this to prove that it was real. If you spend time talking to your kids at dinner, you're more likely to know what's going on in their life. I know, it's very interesting that in this day and age we have to study the obvious to make sure that everyone's on board with it. So lo and behold, what I've been doing for years is no TV during dinner. If we all put in time and energy to have an amazing meal, sit down and let's talk with each other. Okay, yeah, if there's a good movie on or something we want to watch in sports and whatnot, sure, we'll have a movie night and sit there and watch it. More often than not, though, I'm having a conversation with my kids. I'm focusing in on them, focusing in on you guys right now. No other distractions around. So what do the most successful people do in every area of their life? They focus their energy in on what they're doing in the moment. And so this whole idea of what successful people do. Successful people, listen carefully, they know their outcome. Here's what I want to achieve. Here's where I am. Here's where I want to get to. Once they have that outcome, they begin to take action and move towards it. Successful people also have an awareness that as they're moving towards their goal, that they make sure that they stay on target, keep that focus going, and make any course corrections that they need to. That type of content I get into way more detail in other webinars and at our live trainings as well. So let's focus in on the first one, knowing your outcome. There's two main types of outcomes that you can have when it comes to goal setting. You can have an aim and you can have an end. So an aim is the big picture. This comes from how individuals that achieve high levels of result, people who are in peak performance, they differentiate between big picture and a detailed goal. So think of an aim as a direction and where the energy comes from. Let me say that again. Think of an aim as a direction and where the energy comes from. In other words, it's where you draw on your energy. Think of an end goal as something that you want to achieve specifically. And once you achieve it, you're done. So, for example, an aim. That is defining what a healthy relationship is, what amazing health and fitness is, defining it, and then getting clarity on why you want it in your life. Why do you want that health and fitness in your life? Now, I'm going to get really clear on how to define your aim in a moment. We're going to get into how do you define a SMART goal, how do you define an aim. I'm going to get very specific with it. Let's just go big picture for now. An aim is a big umbrella that you're putting over your other goals. So when I woke up and I'm like, I'm not healthy, I'm not living the life that I should be living, I'm not practicing what I teach, the first thing that I had to do is I had to take a step back and ask myself, these goals that I've been setting, when I get them, they don't bring in any satisfaction. I went through a phase where, hey, maybe I'll get a six-pack and, have abs of steel. The problem with that is I'm not planning on doing any cover shoots. I'm not planning on being on the cover of Men's Health magazine. And when I teach, I keep my shirt on. So getting a six-pack, who's that going to impress? I'm not going to impress anyone. My kids don't care. My kids loved me when I was big. They don't love me if I'm skinny. I mean, they don't care. Who am I doing this for? And I had no answer. So I took a step back and I said, okay, what is health and fitness? What does it mean to feel good with my own fitness? And I'm going to teach you what I did and how I wrote out why that was important to me. And nowhere in any of that goal did it say looking a certain way. Most of it had to do with feelings and what pant size I wear and what shirt size I wear and feeling good about myself. Once I had that aim, I then set specific end goals. An end goal is something like weighing a certain amount, wearing a certain size clothes. In career, an aim is what does it mean to you to have a successful career? One person's successful career could be having $1 million in the bank. Yours could be owning your life and quality of life. That could be your aim. Okay? So if quality of life is more important and time with your kids is more important and time with the people you love is more important, set end goals for that. So many people set end goals that have nothing to do with what they truly want. They read in a magazine somewhere that here's a really good goal for relationships. Go on a vacation once a year. I've met some people that don't like going on vacations, that they would rather have downtime at home. But if you set a vacation goal, when you get on vacation, you usually hate the vacation. You hate what you're doing or where you are. If you take a step back and get an aim first, what an aim provides you with is an opportunity to have a deeper understanding of what's important to you in that area of life. According to cognitive psychology, there are 6 major areas of life: career, family, relationship, personal growth, health and fitness, and spirituality. You can substitute religion for spirituality. You can substitute education for personal growth and development. These are the terms that I use, and be flexible with this. Looking at the 3 big ones. The 3 big ones are career, relationship, and fitness. In these 3 areas, we tend to set goals that don't give us any satisfaction. We achieve the goal and we go, man, that's it? I thought it would be better than that when I achieved that. We get these achievements in our life, we get these results, and they don't bring happiness. And the reason why they don't bring happiness is because they're not flowing from who we are. So looking at these big 3 areas, an aim in career is, what does it mean to have a successful career? What does successful career mean to me, and why do I want it? What does it mean to have a loving and empowered relationship, and why do I want it? What does it mean to be just happy and thrilled with your level of fitness, and why do I want it? That's what an aim is. And that aim provides an umbrella for you to then set your end goals. So you have an aim, then you get really specific and set your end goals, the focus that you have. So writing the aim looks like this. Let's go into the formula. So here's how you write your aim. Pick the area that you're focusing on, one of the other 6 areas from the other page. What does that mean? First, you define it for you, not for your partner, not for anyone else. What does health and fitness, for example, mean to me? You define it. What does it mean to have a loving and caring relationship? You define it. What does it mean to have a successful career? You define it. And then after you've written about a paragraph on what that means, ask yourself, why do I want this? Why do I want this loving and caring relationship? Why do I want this level of health and fitness? The why becomes your energy. It becomes your motivation. It becomes your inspiration, because it's what inspired you in the first place. And then what you do, the next step, is you create your end goals to help you move towards your aim. This is a very conscious process. In NLP terminology, the conscious mind is the goal setter. The unconscious mind is the goal getter. Many people find that they put an intention out there, and yet their behaviors are the total opposite of that. the first thing that you want to do to begin to get your behaviors on track to your target is clearly define why you want that. You see, the problem is, if you're not inspired to get that, if that's something that your kids think that you should have, or your partner thinks that you should have, or your boss thinks that you should have, you're going to run out of momentum. You're going to run out of steam. You're going to run out of energy as you move towards that goal. So imagine you got these two arrows. You have this arrow of where you want to go, and you got this other arrow almost pulling you in a different direction with what your behaviors actually are. That's like you're sitting there and you're going, I want to be healthy, but you're shoveling unhealthy food into your mouth. Or you're saying, I want to be fit, and yet you go 5-6 weeks without ever exercising or even doing anything. Or you say, I want to have love in this relationship. I want to have an amazing, happy relationship. And yet you go out on a date and you're on Facebook more than you are on time, focused in on your partner. All of these things are examples of behaviors being the total opposite of what it is that you think you want. The first step in overcoming that behavior being pulled off in one direction, that first step is, why do you want this? Defining what that area means to you, what it specifically means to you, and then really delving into why it is that you want that. What is your inspiration? What is your desire? And then writing goals that are specific for why it is that you want this, and what you need to do, the steps you need to take to get there and achieve it. So once you have your aim, think of your aim as this big umbrella over all of the other goals. Then you want to focus in on your end goal. So how do you write end goals? The way you write end goals, very simple approach, it's called SMART goals. Now, here's the deal. On this webinar, we got well over 100 people on the webinar. That's usually about accurate. We have about 300-400 people sign up. We usually get about 1/3 to show up. So kudos to you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you. A few of you who are on here, you've already done trainings with me, like Ehab. I mentioned Ehab earlier. He was just in Austin, and he got a more specific view on this. So please keep in mind, I'm talking with people who've never heard any of this before. I also have some advanced students on here. Some of them have been with me for 10, 12 years. I saw a couple of names on here where I'm like, wow, man, that's been my student for 10, 12 years now. Really amazing. So this is a simplified approach to SMART goals. So first of all, you want to make your goal specific. I want to make more money. Not specific enough. I want to have amazing quality time with my partner. Sorry, not specific enough. What is quality time with your partner? I want to feel comfortable in my skin. That's beautiful. That's amazing. Not specific enough. Not even measurable. Those things that I just mentioned, they're not measurable. You can measure feeling good. I love tangible measurements, though. When it comes to the big areas, career, health and fitness, and relationships, I like tangible measurements. So what does that mean to have a tangible measurement? You should be able to hand your written goal to someone, and they should be able to take a look at it and go, I got it. That makes sense, and there's no questions. What's an example of a measurement in health and fitness? Pant size, dress size, so much better than the scale. And everyone that I've ever worked with, and I've worked with thousands of people, I say to them, at a certain point in your health and fitness, you should throw the scale out. It is not a good measurement for health. It is not at all a good measurement. I can tell you as a doctor that focusing it on the scale is sometimes detrimental. I weighed 235 pounds at my worst. I dropped down to about 155 pounds a few years ago. Now I'm back up to about 168. If I was using the scale as a measurement, I'd be freaking out. But I went from a size 44 down to a size 30, and I'm still wearing size 30 pants. That's because I've added muscle. Muscle on average weighs twice as much as fat. You take a pound of muscle and a pound of fat. A pound of muscle is very lean, very dense. So you begin to gain weight as you get healthier. There's now an epidemic occurring of people who are overly skinny and yet they're still obese because they don't have as much lean muscle and they have more fat around their organs. And even just a thin layer of fat, if you don't have enough lean muscle, you can be fat, meaning, and please forgive my use of the word fat. I've met some people that say that that's offensive. I'm just using it more from a terminology of the composition of your body. Listen carefully now. The percentage of how much fat you have in comparison to lean muscle, there are some people who look skinny, but they're actually not healthy. They measure their results on the scale, and that can be dangerous for some people. Lean muscle, you burn more calories when you have lean muscle. When you exercise, you sleep better. I want specific measurable. How many times are you working out every week? Specific, how much money do you specifically want to be making? Not how much more. How much money do you specifically want to be making? How are you going to measure it? Is it in your bank account? Is it your paycheck? Then let's take a step back, because I meet people in every single training, and there was an amazing individual in Austin. He came up to me, and he's like, I am your next amazing trainer. I'm like, that's so awesome. Thank you so much. I usually do hire trainers out of the classes that I teach. I said, that's fantastic. He's like, yeah. He's like, I am totally going to be your next trainer. He said, and that's why you should send me to all of your trainings. And I looked at him and I said, you know, you might be right. I'm inspired by your level of enthusiasm. How often do you teach? And he's like, I don't teach right now. Never. But I'm ready to be in front of thousands. So I said to him, you know, I had to talk with him over a couple of days, and I got him to realize that that's a beautiful long-term dream. That's a beautiful long-term intention, a long-term goal. That is incredible. And are you right now in a place to go from where you are to step on a stage where you get up in front of hundreds of people like I do? And he openly admitted, no, that he actually has a fear of getting up in front of groups. And I said, okay, successful people know where they are right now, and they know what's achievable. You know, if you're making $40,000, $50,000 a year right now, it's great that you want to have $1 million in the bank. Why don't you start off with a goal of getting into six figures? And then even take a step back. In the industry that you're in, can you make that amount of money? You see, I'm in the seminar and training business. I'm in the business of personal growth. I practice spirituality. I teach Huna, NLP, and I teach all of these things. And it's not a big money maker. I have people come to our trainings and look around and go, wow, you're doing really well. The seminar and training business is a very slim margin. I realize that if I want to have the money, needs, and resources, I'm going to have to do other things. Real estate investment, coaching, partnering up with other amazing organizations, and getting income streams from that. I needed to do that to achieve the level that I wanted to achieve. Not Bill Gates level. That's not in the stars for me. Don't care for that. I know what I want in a successful career. In relationships, you know, specific and measurable. And is it achievable with the person that you're with? Are you able to achieve that deep level of love? If you're not with someone, it's absolutely achievable to be with someone, to get together with a person who is your soulmate, who is the love of your life. You've got to believe in that again if you're not with someone. Just put that goal out there. If you're willing to put yourself out there, it can make a total difference on your path. Trust me, I absolutely know that. And then the next thing you want to look at, the R, resources. What resources do you need in order to achieve this goal? One of my favorite examples of this is back in 1999, I had this wake up where I want to take the university that I'm running and take it through the accreditation process. And at the same time, I think I want to be a doctor. I think I want to go back to school, become a doctor. That goal began to gain some momentum in 2001, 2002. Took me about 6 years from there, going through school, doing all the things that I needed to do. The reason why I'm sharing that with you is it wasn't just an overnight experience to go from where I was to becoming a doctor. I didn't have the resources to begin with. I wanted to start back in 1999, but I had to take an honest look and go, I want to become a doctor. I went online, I did some research. Guess what? It cost 6 figures to become a doctor, especially at the school that I was looking at, the residency program and tuition and boarding and, my goodness. I went, I don't have that type of money. I don't have access to that type of money. And I don't want to be stuck with student loans. What am I going to need to do? I needed to get the resources. I had to take a look at my career and go, am I drawing in the resources to achieve this? So the R stands for resources. Do you have the resources to achieve your goal? And if you don't, maybe you should start off on another area first so that you can have those resources. And then finally, toward what you want. Your goal needs to be written toward what it is that you want. Like I said earlier, not trying to get away from a pain. So keep in mind SMART goals. And the workbook that we have, it's going to help you to refine this even a little bit more. So keep this in mind as you're writing your end goal. So you have aim and you have end goals. Let's continue with the next slide. So you got your goal. Now you got to get motivated. So you have your why and aim. Remember, if you don't have a why you're doing it, you don't have that inspiration. You don't have that deeper desire, that drive. So got your goal. You're like, I want to make a ton of money. Take a step back. Ask yourself, what is that area that I'm working on? Define it. And then really focus in on the why. Once you have set your end goal, go back to the why, and that can become, for those of you who are visual, that can become your vision board. You can put a vision board at the end of your bed so that every morning when you wake up, you look at the things that keep you inspired. So I'm a big believer in writing your goal out, writing it down on paper and getting very clear on it, because a written goal already has a physical action component to it. When you don't write a goal, it's just staying up here in your mind. It doesn't ever come down into the physical. So by writing your goal out and being able to take a look at it, you then need to focus in on, where's my inspiration coming from? Those of you who are visual, pictures of that. Get your, I left my iPhone in the other room so I can focus in on you guys. One of my big inspirations in life is my kids. So I have a picture of my kids on my iPad, on my iPhone. I love to connect in nature, and I've had some amazing experiences. I have a picture of a place where I go to for meditation and connection. I have that on my iPhone. Other pictures that you can put up are pictures of you and your partner together, your family, or what the end goal would look like when you have achieved a certain weight. One of my students that I worked with, she wanted to get into the body of how she was in high school, and she wanted to become healthy and fit again. She's in her 20s. She had lost her physical agility. She had lost her physical momentum. So what she did was she took an old picture of her body, took a current picture of her head, and put the two together. That was her inspiration. A lot of people focus in on their goal. Once you put that goal out there in your future, you're going to begin to move towards it. Once you've written it down, what is your gas? You got to keep the gas tank full. You're moving towards your goal. You've got to keep that momentum going. And to do that, you bring in your why, your focus. So if you're visual, pictures around you. If you're auditory, maybe it's an affirmation. Maybe it's saying something to yourself over and over again. Maybe it's repeating the why, or getting up and reading about the why every morning. Getting up and reading your goal and remembering, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I've been teaching, I think I taught my first class about 18, 20 years ago, somewhere in that range. I've been a part of this company for 24 years. And there was a young lady in the Austin training. Her name was Layla. She came up to me. She wrote down a whole bunch of questions on one of the cards. And I'm not sharing anything that's overly personal, not the stuff that, the deeper questions that she had asked me about her own personal path. And it was really sweet. She came up to me and she asked me, why are you doing what it is that you're doing? Why are you still a part of this company? 24 years. You've been a part of the company for 24 years. You've been teaching a couple of decades, over the span of 3 decades, 90s, 2000, now the teens. What is it that keeps you going? She said, what's your inspiration? And I smiled and I shared it with her about helping people become empowered. And sometimes in my classes, I pick one student. And every time I get up, I remind myself, that student is more empowered now today. And the story that he or she shared with me, that gets me going. Sometimes it's the things that my kids have gone through. My daughter went through some really amazing things when she was 5. And by amazing, I mean things that she'll remember for the rest of her life. Losing her best friend to leukemia. And knowing that the tools that I teach, the forgiveness and the release techniques, helped her to overcome it. She's able to talk about it now. And She doesn't carry it as a burden. Sometimes that's my inspiration. My loved ones, my friends, my families. These are the things that sometimes I'll talk to them before going on stage. I remember at Huna, we teach a very spiritual training in Kona twice a year. We're doing our 52nd workshop twice a year now for 26 years in March. And my son was there. He began to teach at 16. My son's 16. I'm so proud of him. Started teaching in September at our workshop. And we're walking down the hallway. And I'm about to go on stage. I put my arm around him and I said, Ethan. And he said, yeah. So what inspires you about being here? And he's like, what? You got to know. I said, no, I know what I'm inspired about. I said, I want to hear it from you so that I can hear it from someone who's, just beginning to teach this stuff. And that's going to be my inspiration for all the classes that I teach today. Sometimes it's just a feeling. It's just a feeling that you carry with you that helps you to keep inspired. See, so many people lose momentum. They set a New Year's resolution and 3 weeks later, no more gas in the gas tank. How do you keep the gas in the gas tank is you connect to your purpose and your motivation on a continuing basis. The meaning gives you momentum and helps to keep you going. So it's a huge part. I cannot overemphasize this part enough. It really does help you to keep going and really does hone your focus and your desire. So that's all I got tonight. Let me summarize. I want to bring it together and give you some tips before we begin to wrap up. Let me give you some tips here. Got a slide for this? There's a slide. There we go. Improve your energy and focus. So begin to batch things together for maximum momentum. Begin to focus in on what you're doing in that moment. Even if you're focusing in on setting a goal in the future, you're not out there in the future daydreaming. You're focusing in on that goal. You're hanging out with your kids. Be with them. When you're with your loved ones, focus in on them. And remember, set a goal. Get an aim out there. And I know so many of you, I meet people that are like, I want to fix every single area of my life. Start with one. I did. I teach this stuff, and I started with one. I started with one area and got momentum going in that area. Then I did the next area. Then I did the next area. Kind of like I say, focusing on one area, batch those things together. Focusing on the area that's going to have the greatest impact on all of the other areas. And then make your why a daily practice. Make your momentum and your motivation a daily practice to help you go and keep going from now all the way out into the future. Because with health and fitness, my journey began back in 1999, getting a wake-up call. Actually, 97. 97 is where I kind of hit my heaviest. Having that wake-up call, having a doctor tell me I'm obese, that's 19 years ago. And my health has continuously improved. And I'm doing similar workouts that I've been doing now for over a decade. You don't stay energized in a workout if you don't have your why. Your career, your relationship, same idea, same concept. Keep that why going and it will help to increase your results. So before you guys leave, I'm going to go look at some questions in just a moment. One last slide that I want to put up there. Jay, who is in charge of our marketing on our webinar today, thank you so much for being on here, Jay. We're going to have a link for you, a link for a downloadable guide to help you with your goals, like a goal guide, something that you can download, give you some momentum and help you out with it. And in addition to that, for those of you that are in the San Jose and San Diego area, we're going to send you a link. We're going to put a link up there for our website, NLP.com. San Jose, we're doing a 5-day practitioner training. San Diego, we're doing a 4-day. We're doing a 4-day practitioner training there to help you as an individual not just take what you learned on this webinar to a whole nother level, but really to help you clear out some of the baggage that's been getting in your way. Because once you have that goal out there, it's time to start dealing with some baggage. Get rid of some of those negative emotions, limiting beliefs. And the trainings that we teach, the practitioner, it says an I in front of it, the Integrative Neuro-Linguistic Programming Practitioner trainings. These trainings that used to be 5-6 years ago, $4,000 or $5,000. Go to our website. We have a link for it on there. It's under $200. I mean, we're doing this because we want to truly empower the planet. And I'm going to be at both of these trainings the entire time, teaching segments. I got my other team there as well. You're going to get it from a bunch of different trainers. And we really do our best to deliver and give you as many tools and techniques as you can possibly have to achieve your results. So I always love to save about 5-10 minutes, and I'm at the 8-minute mark to take some questions. I keep these webinars to an hour. I let you guys know, hey, it's going to be an hour. I do my best to keep it to an hour. So let me open up some questions here. And let me just scroll through this. Lots of highs there. Hey, how's it going? Jenna asked, will you please talk about the steps of future pacing to achieve a target or an aim? Jenna, great question. The steps that you're going to be taking are really related to your goal. When you get an end goal, once you've set your aim, and once you have set your end goal, once you've done the aim and the end goal, the steps become very specific. So, for example, if you set a goal in health and fitness, the steps that you want to take for health and fitness are the things that begin to move you towards that. Getting a gym membership, buying a workout program. We do a lot of work with Beachbody now at our company, helping people get fit through a very reputable company that has tons of different workouts. Those are different things that we do. You can check that out on our Facebook page. We post a lot about what we do, some of the workouts, and we actually have an online group that's coming up, a 21-day reboot of your spirit, mind, emotion, and physical. Sometimes the first step is signing up for a program like that. Sometimes the first step is getting into the gym that you already have been paying for 2 years. So once you have that end goal, the steps become very apparent and really helps out. Rima says, need an online. I appreciate that. We are working from the United Arab Emirates. It's so great that you're here from the United Arab Emirates, the UAE. That's so fantastic. We have people from all over the world joining in. Rima, we are working on an online program. We absolutely are. And hey, hang on. We've got a full recording of a practitioner training, and we're looking at getting that online, creating a membership site for that, and getting the information all the way over to Arab countries there. So thank you so much for being on here. Cornelia, how many areas can you work on reasonably to achieve your goal? I'm going to go back to the batching. And really saying, let's actually take a step back, Cornelia. I want to approach this question from a different perspective. Take a look at your resources. Do you have the resources to work on multiple areas? I think the question is more of a personal question. There's no way I can ever say you should only work on 1, 2, or 3. If you have the resources in career, maybe you could work on personal growth and spirituality at the same time. Maybe you could work on fitness and relationship at the same time. Some people, they can't do it. Here's a good question to ask, and I want you all to pay attention to this. This is a really good question. If you, in the past, have done things and it hasn't worked, you need to do it in a different way. So, Cornelia, if in the past you've attempted to work on 4 different areas, 3 different areas, 2 different areas, and you haven't gotten results, then you might be the type of person, like me, that should work on 1 area at a time. That doesn't mean you stop eating healthy while you're working on career. It doesn't mean that you stop moderate exercise. I'm talking about what is the area that you want to kick it up to a whole other level. If you try to do all 6 at once, it may be more than you can handle because there's only 24 hours in the day. I don't care if you know NLP. I don't care if you know Huna. It doesn't matter. There's only 24 hours in the day. And when you begin to get going in something like a new workout program, or when you get into a new relationship, or when you start off on a new career path, it takes a lot of time. There's a time component in the beginning. So I think 2 big ways to answer this. You got to look at where you are right now, and can you handle multiple paths? And if in the past you have been really good at doing multiple things at one time, then maybe you can get away with it. I would also go back to that Stanford research and say that, while you're working out, focus in on working out. Don't do your career stuff. I occasionally, during a workout, will post on Facebook. I run a fitness group, though, on Facebook, so I'll post like a quick video during one of the breaks. But I keep it to a minute because I jump right back into my workout. And that's rare. I do it maybe once every other month or so. The rest of the time, I'm in the workout, I'm highly focused. So we also got some things in here that the links aren't working. Jay, I think Jay will be focusing on fixing the link. Thank you guys all for letting us know that they're not working. Jose, my man, you are on here as well. Yep. So we're working on fixing the link. We'll make sure that we get that link all set up. And Diane, I'm just reading back through here. Diane, it's wee chilly. I like that. Deborah says it's wet, and Diane says it's wee chilly. But you guys have the same answer because you're together in the same place, aren't you? Wet and wee chilly. I love it. Just came back from Austin, and it was cold in Austin. Like dropped down to the 30s a couple of nights. It's doesn't seem like that's what Texas would be like, but man, what a beautiful place, Austin. Okay, I think that's it. The link works now. So you guys are saying that the link works. And last question that I'm going to do here. Izzy, what part of San Diego do you live in? Oh, I don't know. I live north of San Diego. I'm not going to be giving out my home address here. No, people are going to be knocking on the door and saying, how's it going? But no, I live up closer to the Carlsbad area. Nice area up here. Really reminds me a lot of home. You know, I'm from Hawaii, and so this is my new home. This is a home that I have here in California. And I spend about 4 months of my year here. Spend about 4 months of my year in Hawaii. And actually, no, it's more like about 2 months in Hawaii and 2 months here. And I think the rest of the time is all on the road. I think my actual address is whatever hotel I'm in at that given time. Izzy, must be nice. Thank you so much. Yeah, it is. It is really nice. David, hope to see you. Oh, David, you're going to be in San Jose? Sweet. David says he's going to be seeing me in San Jose. Great goal-setting session. Thank you. Hey, thank you guys. It's 8 o'clock right now. I'm done. That's all I got. Stick a fork in her. We're done. And I'm going to go talk to my daughter. I'm going to go do some FaceTime with my daughter. Give her a big virtual hug and kiss. Send her some love. So thank you all so very much for being here on the webinar. Those of you that are going to be in San Jose, San Diego, I look forward to seeing you all there. Take care. Aloha. A hui ho. Class dismissed. Love you all. See you next time.